Captain Li Jinwu stepped carefully through the broken stones and twisted metal that covered the ground. His boots made soft crunching sounds as he walked deeper into what used to be a great city on Nethys Prime. The air smelled old and dusty, like a library that nobody had visited for years. "Captain, are you seeing this?" Park Mina's voice came through his helmet radio. She was pointing at something up ahead with her scanner device. Jinwu looked where she was pointing. In front of them stood a massive building that looked different from all the destroyed houses and shops around it. This building was still standing perfectly, as if nothing bad had ever happened to it. The walls were made of some kind of white stone that seemed to glow softly in the dim light. "That's definitely not normal," said Kim Tae-hyun, who was walking beside them. He was their science expert and always noticed when things didn't make sense. "Everything else here is broken, but that temple looks brand new." Choi Hyunwoo, their security officer, checked his weapon and nodded toward the building. "Should we go inside, Captain? My sensors are picking up some kind of energy coming from in there." Jinwoo thought for a moment. They had come to this dead planet to look for anything useful that the old civilization might have left behind. Earth needed new technology, and exploring dead worlds was one way to find it. But something about this temple made him feel uneasy. "Stay close together," he told his team. "Keep your eyes open for anything strange." They walked up the steps to the temple entrance. The doors were huge and covered with symbols that none of them could read, but the doors were already open, as if someone was expecting them to come inside. The inside of the temple was even more impressive than the outside. The ceiling was so high that their flashlights couldn't reach it. Tall pillars held up the roof, and each pillar was carved with pictures of battles and warriors. The floor was made of smooth black stone that reflected their lights like a mirror. "This place gives me the creeps," whispered Park Mina. But she kept following the captain deeper into the temple. They walked for what felt like a long time through corridors and rooms filled with strange objects and more carved pictures. Finally, they came to a large chamber in the very center of the temple. This room was different from all the others. In the middle of the room was a raised platform made of crystal that glowed with a soft blue light. And on that platform was something that made all four humans stop walking and stare. A woman was lying on the crystal platform, but she wasn't sleeping or dead. Two long, glowing swords were stuck through her back, pinning her down like a butterfly in a collection. The swords were beautiful and terrible at the same time, made of pure energy that shifted between blue and silver colors. The woman's eyes were open, and when she saw the humans, she tried to speak. Her voice was weak but clear. "Leave this place," she said in perfect human language, though her accent was strange. "You must go now before it's too late." Jinwoo stepped closer, ignoring his team's worried looks. The woman was clearly not human. Her skin had a slight gray color, and her ears were pointed, but her eyes looked just like human eyes, full of pain and sadness. "Who are you?" Jinwoo asked gently. "What happened to you?" The woman closed her eyes for a moment, as if speaking was very difficult. "My name is Velnara. I am the last of the Velthari people. These swords, they are my punishment." "Punishment for what?" Park Mina asked, stepping up beside her captain. Velnara opened her eyes again and looked directly at Jinwoo. "For refusing to destroy 3 worlds full of innocent people. My leaders wanted me to use a terrible weapon to save our dying planet. But I could not kill billions of beings to save our few remaining lives." Kim Tae-hyun checked his scanner and made worried sounds. "Captain, those swords are putting out incredible amounts of energy. I don't understand how they're not killing." "Her? They keep me alive," Velnara explained, "but they also cause me constant pain. I have been here for 50 of your Earth years, conscious every moment, unable to move or die." Choi Hyunwoo shook his head in disbelief. "That's impossible. No one could survive that kind of torture for so long." "The Velthari are strong," she replied sadly. "We were made to endure hardship so we could protect others. But this was meant to be the worst punishment my people could imagine." Velnara's eyes suddenly became very serious as she looked at Captain Jinwoo. Her voice got stronger, filled with urgency and fear. "You must leave this temple right now," she said, trying to lift her head despite the swords pinning her down. Do not come any closer to me. Do not try to help me. Jinwoo frowned and took a small step forward. But we can't just leave you here like this. There has to be something we can do. No, Velnara's voice echoed through the chamber. You do not understand. These are not ordinary weapons. They are quantum swords, created by the most advanced scientists of my people. They are designed to kill anyone who tries to remove them. Park Mina held up her scanner and started reading the numbers. Her face went pale as she looked at the display. Captain, she's right. These energy readings are off the charts. I've never seen anything like this before. Kim Tae-hyun moved closer to look at Park Mina's scanner. What exactly are we looking at here? The energy field around those swords is incredibly powerful, Park Mina explained, pointing at her device. It's like a massive electrical storm that's been compressed into a small space. And look at this. She adjusted some settings on her scanner. The field gets stronger every time I point the scanner directly at it. Velnara nodded sadly. Every time someone tries to help me, the swords learn from that attempt. They become more deadly, more dangerous. Over the past 50 years, 17 different alien species have found me here. What happened to them? Choi Hyun-woo asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know the answer. They all died, Velnara said quietly. Some died instantly when they touched the swords. Others died slowly as the energy drained their life force. A few managed to survive for several minutes before the quantum field killed them, but they all died trying to save me. Jinwoo felt his heart sink. 17 different species? That means, yes, Velnara continued. Beings much more advanced than humans have tried to free me. The Zephyrians had technology that could manipulate matter at the atomic level. The crystalline entities could phase in and out of different dimensions. The Void Walkers could travel through space and time itself. All of them failed. Park Mina's scanner started beeping more rapidly. Captain, the energy readings are spiking just from us being in this room. We need to back away slowly. But Jinwoo couldn't move. He stared at Velnara, thinking about what she had told them. This woman had chosen to suffer horrible pain for 50 years rather than kill innocent people. She was a hero and she was trapped in a nightmare that never ended. How do the swords keep you alive? Kim Tae-hyun asked, his scientific curiosity getting the better of his fear. They are connected to my life force, Velnara explained. They take energy from my body and use it to power themselves, but they also feed energy back into me, just enough to keep me conscious and aware. It is a perfect prison. Captain, Choi Hyun-woo said urgently, we should listen to her. If 17 more advanced species couldn't help her, what makes us think we can? Jinwoo knew his security officer was right. It made sense to leave and report what they had found to Earth Command. Let the scientists and engineers figure out what to do, but every time he looked at Velnara, he saw the pain in her eyes. Every day for 50 years, he said quietly, you've been awake and hurting every single day. Yes, she replied, but I do not regret my choice. Those 3 worlds are still alive because I refused to destroy them. Billions of children grew up and lived happy lives because I accepted this punishment. Park Mina's scanner was now beeping constantly. Captain, we really need to leave. The energy field is building up. It's like it knows we're here and it's preparing to attack. She's right, Velnara agreed. The longer you stay, the more dangerous it becomes. Please, I have watched too many good beings die because of me. I cannot bear to watch humans die. Jinwoo's team started backing toward the entrance of the chamber. But Jinwoo himself couldn't move. Something inside him refused to walk away from this suffering woman. Captain, Park Mina called out, we have to go now. Finally, Jinwoo forced himself to turn around and follow his team out of the temple. But with every step he took, he felt worse. How could he just leave her there? How could anyone just walk away from that kind of pain? As they reached the entrance of the temple, Jinwoo turned back one more time. Even from that distance, he could see the blue glow of the quantum swords in the darkness. We'll find a way, he whispered to himself. There has to be a way. Back on their ship, the team sat in the main meeting room, but nobody was talking. The silence felt heavy and uncomfortable. Jinwoo stared out the window at the dead planet below, unable to get Velnara's face out of his mind. I can't stop thinking about her, Park Mina finally said, breaking the quiet. 50 years of constant pain. How is that even possible? Kim Tae-hyun was hunched over his computer, typing rapidly. I'm searching through every database we have about alien civilizations. Maybe we can find something about her people. Any luck so far? Choi Hyun-woo asked, though he sounded doubtful. Actually, yes, Kim Tae-hyun said, his voice getting excited. Look at this. The Velthari are mentioned in dozens of historical records from different species across the galaxy. He turned his screen around so everyone could see. The display showed star maps, ancient texts, and what looked like carved stone tablets. According to these records, the Velthari were like the police of the galaxy, Kim Tae-hyun explained. But not the kind of police that arrest people. They were protectors. For over 10,000 years, they traveled from world to world, helping younger civilizations survive wars, disasters, and invasions. Park Mina leaned forward to get a better look. 10,000 years? That's incredible. It gets better, Kim. Tae-hyun continued, scrolling through more information. They never asked for payment, never demanded territory or resources. They just helped because they believed it was the right thing to do. Species after species talks about how the Velthari saved them from extinction. Jin-woo finally turned away from the window. What happened to them? If they were so powerful and good, why is Velnara the last one? Kim Tae-hyun's expression became sad. Their homeworld was dying. Some kind of cosmic radiation was slowly killing everything on the planet. They had the technology to build a weapon that could destroy the source of the radiation, but it would also wipe out 3 inhabited star systems. So they chose to die rather than kill innocent people, Choi Hyun-woo said quietly. All of them except Velnara, Kim Tae-hyun nodded. According to these records, her people wanted her to activate the weapon because she was their greatest warrior. When she refused, they punished her with those quantum swords and left her alone to think about her choice. Jin-woo clenched his fists. They tortured her for doing the right thing. Captain, Park Mina said carefully, I know what you're thinking, but we can't help her. You heard what she said. 17 different species have tried and failed. Some of them had technology that's thousands of years ahead of ours. But Jin-woo was already moving toward the ship's computer terminal. Show me everything we have about quantum energy fields, he told the computer. Captain, what are you doing? Choi Hyun-woo asked, though he already knew the answer. I'm going to figure out how to free her, Jin-woo replied, pulling up technical diagrams and energy equations on the screen. Park Mina and Kim Tae-hyun exchanged worried looks. Sir, this is crazy, Park Mina said. If beings with advanced technology couldn't do it, how can we? Jin-woo spent the next several hours studying everything he could find about quantum mechanics, energy fields, and alien technology. His team tried to talk him out of it, but he wouldn't listen. Finally, around midnight ship time, he called them all back to the meeting room. I think I know why all those other species failed, he announced. Kim Tae-hyun rubbed his tired eyes. Okay, let's hear it. Every alien species we've ever met has one thing in common, Jin-woo began. Their thought patterns are organized and logical. They think in straight lines, following predictable patterns. And that's bad because, Park Mina asked, because the quantum swords are designed to predict and counter logical thinking, Jin-woo explained excitedly. They learn from each attempt and adapt to become more deadly. But what if someone tried to remove them whose thoughts were completely random and unpredictable? Choi Hyun-woo frowned. You mean like human thoughts? Exactly. Jin-woo pointed at his security officer. Aliens always comment on how chaotic human thinking is. We jump from one idea to another without warning. We make decisions based on emotions instead of pure logic. We daydream and think about completely random things. Captain, Park Mina said slowly, are you suggesting that our messy human brains might be able to confuse these quantum swords? I'm saying it's possible, Jin-woo replied. What if the swords can't predict what we're going to do because we don't even know what we're going to do? What if our mental chaos is exactly what we need to break their pattern? Kim Tae-hyun shook his head. This is insane. You're talking about betting your life on the idea that humans are too stupid to die. Not stupid, Jin-woo corrected. Unpredictable. And that unpredictability might be the one thing those swords were never designed to handle. His team stared at him in disbelief. They all knew he was planning something dangerous, and they all knew they couldn't stop him. Jin-woo walked through the temple alone, his footsteps echoing in the empty corridors. He had waited until his crew was sleeping before sneaking out of the ship. He knew they would try to stop him if they found out what he was planning. His hands were shaking as he made his way to the central chamber. Not from fear exactly, but from the knowledge that he might be about to die. 17 different alien species had tried this before him. All of them had failed. All of them had died. But he couldn't get Velnara's words out of his head. She had chosen 50 years of torture, rather than kill innocent people. If she could be that brave, then he could at least try to help her. When he entered the chamber, Velnara's eyes widened with shock and fear. "No," she whispered. "Human, what are you doing here? I told you to leave and never come back." "My name is Jinwoo," he said, walking slowly toward the crystal platform, "and I think I might have found a way to help you." "It is impossible," Velnara said, struggling against the swords that pinned her down. "Please, I cannot watch another being die because of me. I have seen too much death already." Jinwoo stopped a few feet away from the platform. Up close, he could see how the energy swords pulsed with power. They seemed to be alive, waiting for him to get closer. "Tell me about the others who tried," he said. "What exactly happened to them?" Velnara closed her eyes as if the memories were too painful to think about. The first was a Zephyrian scientist. He had machines that could manipulate individual atoms. When he touched the swords, the quantum field overloaded his nervous system instantly. He died before he could even scream. "What about the others?" "A crystalline entity tried to phase through the energy field. The swords adapted and trapped her between dimensions. She spent 3 days dying slowly as the quantum energy tore her apart, piece by piece." Jinwoo felt his stomach turn, but he forced himself to keep listening. The Voidwalkers sent their best warrior. He could travel through time itself, but the swords locked onto his timeline and followed him wherever he went. Even when he jumped to different moments in history, the quantum field was always waiting for him. "But they were all thinking logically," Jinwoo said. "They had plans. They knew exactly what they were trying to do." "Of course they did. How else would you approach such a problem?" Jinwoo smiled grimly. "Like a human." Before Velnara could ask what he meant, Jinwoo stepped forward and placed his hands on the 2 energy swords. The pain hit him like a lightning bolt. Every nerve in his body felt like it was on fire. He screamed, and Velnara screamed with him as the quantum energy coursed through both of their bodies. But something strange happened in Jinwoo's mind. Instead of focusing on the pain, his thoughts scattered in all directions. He started thinking about his childhood dog, a golden retriever named Buddy, who used to steal food from the kitchen table. Then he thought about the first time he had seen snow falling. Then he remembered his grandmother's voice singing old folk songs. The quantum field seemed confused. It was designed to predict and counter logical thought patterns, but Jinwoo's mind was jumping from memory to memory, without any pattern at all. What are you doing?" Velnara gasped through the pain. "I'm thinking about breakfast," Jinwoo said through gritted teeth, "and also about a movie I saw when I was 12, and my first day at the Space Academy, and the way my mother used to braid my sister's hair." The energy swords flickered slightly. For just a moment, their bright glow dimmed. "It's working," Velnara whispered in amazement. Jinwoo tightened his grip on the swords, even though the pain was getting worse. Now he was thinking about the taste of ice cream, the sound of rain on a roof, a joke his friend had told him last week, and the feeling of swimming in the ocean. His thoughts were completely random, bouncing from one thing to another like a ball in a pinball machine. The quantum field started to fluctuate. The swords were designed to learn from each attack and become stronger, but they couldn't learn from Jinwoo's chaotic thinking because there was no pattern to learn from. "Keep going," Velnara encouraged him. "I can feel the field weakening." But the pain was incredible. Jinwoo felt like his body was being torn apart from the inside. His vision started to blur, and he could taste blood in his mouth. Part of his mind wanted to let go and run away. Instead, he started thinking about a song his father used to hum while working in the garden. Then he thought about the first time he had seen Earth from space. Then he remembered the smell of his mother's cooking and the way his little nephew laughed when they played hide-and-seek. The swords flickered again, their glow becoming even dimmer. The quantum field was struggling to adapt to Jinwoo's unpredictable Human thoughts. Almost there, he whispered, though he wasn't sure how much longer he could hold on. The pain was making it hard to think at all, let alone think randomly, but he forced himself to remember more things: the feeling of sand between his toes, his first kiss, the excitement of getting accepted into the space program, the sadness when his grandfather died, and the joy of seeing his newborn nephew for the first time. The energy swords were definitely getting weaker now, but Jinwoo was getting weaker too. The pain was getting so intense that Jinwoo's legs started to shake. He could feel his strength leaving him, but he refused to let go of the energy swords. Sweat poured down his face and his breathing became shallow and quick. "I don't know how much longer I can hold on," he gasped, his voice barely above a whisper. Velnara looked at him with eyes full of concern and gratitude. "You have already done more than anyone thought possible. The swords are definitely weaker than they were before." "But not weak enough," Jinwoo replied, gritting his teeth as another wave of agony shot through his body. Velnara was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke in a voice that was both sad and determined. "Let me help you. Let me show you why this matters." Before Jinwoo could ask what she meant, something incredible happened. Images started flowing into his mind, but they weren't his own memories. They were Velnara's. He saw a beautiful blue planet, with 3 moons hanging in the sky. The cities were unlike anything on Earth, with buildings that seemed to grow from the ground like crystal trees. The people looked similar to Velnara, with grey skin and pointed ears, but their faces were full of joy and laughter. "This was my home," Velnara's voice echoed in his mind. "Velthar Prime. We were a peaceful people who believed that strength should be used to protect the weak." The image changed, and now Jinwoo saw spaceships leaving the beautiful planet. But these weren't warships or conquest vessels. They were rescue ships, medical ships, and construction ships. "For 10,000 years we traveled the galaxy helping others," Velnara continued. "We stopped wars before they could start. We taught dying civilizations how to heal their worlds. We protected young species from those who would harm them." Jinwoo saw more memories flash by. Velnara herself, much younger, standing on the bridge of a ship as they arrived at a world covered in storms. The people there were dying because their weather control systems had broken down. Velnara and her team worked for months to fix the problem, asking for nothing in return. Another memory showed her on a different world, this one covered in ice. The inhabitants were small furry creatures who had been driven underground by an invasion force. Velnara led a small team of Velthari warriors who defeated the invaders without killing a single one. Instead, they convinced the attackers to leave peacefully. "We were not perfect," Velnara admitted as the memories continued to flow. "But we tried to do what was right. We believed that every life in the universe had value." The memories became darker now. Jinwoo saw Velthar Prime beginning to die. The sky turned from blue to sickly yellow as cosmic radiation poisoned the atmosphere. Plants withered and died. The crystal cities began to crack and crumble. The radiation came from a collapsed star in a nearby system, Velnara explained. "Our scientists said it would kill everything on our world within 50 years. The only way to stop it was to build a quantum resonance weapon that could destroy the source." Jinwoo saw the weapon being built. It was massive, the size of a small moon, and it pulsed with the same kind of energy as the swords that were now pinning Velnara down. "But the weapon was too powerful," she continued. "To destroy the radiation source, it would also destroy 3 entire star systems. Billions of innocent beings would die to save our few million." Now Jinwoo saw the final memory. Velnara standing in a great hall filled with other Velthari leaders. They were all arguing, shouting at each other. Most of them wanted to use the weapon. They said it was the only way to save their people. "I was their greatest warrior," Velnara said sadly. "They chose me to activate the weapon because they thought I would do anything to protect our world. But I could not do it. I could not murder billions of children to save my own people." Jinwoo felt tears running down his face, though he wasn't sure if they were from the pain or from the sadness of Velnara's memories. "So they punished you," he said. "They gave me these swords and left me here to think about my choice. They hoped that 50 years of pain would make me change my mind and agree to activate the weapon. But you never changed your mind. Never. Even now, after all this suffering, I know I made the right choice. Those 3 star systems are still alive. Children are still being born, still growing up, still falling in love and living happy lives. My pain is nothing compared to that. Jinwoo felt a new strength flow through him. If Velnara could endure 50 years of torture for her principles, then he could endure a few more minutes to free her. He started thinking even more chaotically than before. Now his random thoughts were mixed with Velnara's memories. He thought about his nephew's laugh, and also about the crystal cities of Velthar Prime. He remembered the taste of his mother's soup, and also the sight of Velnara saving those furry ice creatures. The quantum swords flickered more violently now. They were designed to handle one mind at a time, but now they were trying to process 2 completely different sets of thoughts and memories. "It's working," Velnara gasped. "I can feel them losing their grip on me." Park Mina woke up in the middle of the night with a strange feeling that something was wrong. She couldn't explain it, but her instincts were telling her to check on Captain Jinwoo. When she went to his quarters and found his bed empty, her heart started racing. "Kim Tae-hyun." "Choi Hyun-woo," she called out, running through the ship's corridors. "Wake up, the captain is gone." Within minutes, all 3 crew members were gathered in the main control room, checking the ship's sensors and tracking systems. "His personal communicator is still in his room," Kim Tae-hyun reported, his fingers flying over the computer keyboard. "But the shuttle bay shows that someone used the emergency exit about 2 hours ago." Choi Hyun-woo was already putting on his protective gear. "He went back to the temple, didn't he? That crazy fool is trying to save that alien woman." "We have to stop him," Park Mina said, grabbing her medical scanner and emergency kit. "If 17 advanced species couldn't remove those swords without dying, then he's definitely going to get himself killed." They ran to their remaining shuttle and flew as fast as they could toward the temple. During the flight, Kim Tae-hyun kept trying to contact Jinwoo on all communication channels, but there was no response. "The temple is interfering with our signals," he explained. "Those quantum energy fields are blocking everything." When they reached the temple, they could see strange lights flashing inside the building. The entire structure was glowing with an eerie blue energy that pulsed like a heartbeat. "That's not normal," Choi Hyun-woo said as they ran up the temple steps. "The building wasn't doing that before." They raced through the corridors, following the same path they had taken earlier that day. The lights were getting brighter as they got closer to the central chamber, and they could hear sounds that made their blood run cold, screaming. Both human and alien voices, crying out in agony. "Jinwoo!" Park Mina shouted as they reached the entrance to the chamber. What they saw inside made them all stop in their tracks. Captain Jinwoo was standing at the crystal platform, his hands gripping the 2 energy swords that were pinning Velnara down. Both of them were screaming as electricity-like energy coursed through their bodies. But there was something else happening too. The swords were flickering, their bright glow becoming unstable. Sometimes they would shine brightly, and sometimes they would dim almost to nothing. "Captain!" Choi Hyun-woo started to run forward, but Park Mina grabbed his arm. "Don't!" she yelled. "If you get too close, the energy field might kill all of us." Instead, she pulled out her medical scanner and pointed it toward Jinwoo and Velnara. What she saw on the display made her face go pale. "Their heart rates are all over the place," she reported, her voice shaking. "Jinwoo's pulse is jumping between 40 and 180 beats per minute. That's impossible. No human heart can handle that kind of stress." Kim Tae-hyun was using his own scanner to measure the energy levels in the room. "The quantum field is going crazy. It's like it can't decide what to do. The energy readings keep spiking and then dropping." "Can we help him somehow?" Choi Hyun-woo asked desperately. "Maybe if we all work together?" "No," Park Mina said firmly. "Look at my scanner. The energy field extends about 3 meters from the swords. If any of us step into that area, we'll be fried instantly." They could only watch as their captain continued his battle with the ancient weapons. Sometimes he would scream so loudly that the sound echoed through the entire temple. Other times, he would go quiet for several seconds, and they would think he was dead, but then he would start moving again. "I've been doing this for almost 20 minutes, Kim Tae-hyun said, checking his watch. "How is he still alive?" Park Mina was monitoring both Jinwoo and Velnara continuously. "I don't know. but their vital signs are getting worse. Jinwoo's brain. Activity is showing patterns I've never seen before. It's like his mind is operating on 10 different levels at the same time. What does that mean? Choi Hyunwoo demanded. I honestly don't know. Maybe it's how he's fighting the quantum field. Maybe it's how he's staying alive. Or maybe his brain is being damaged by the energy. Suddenly, Jinwoo's legs buckled, and he almost fell to his knees. But somehow, he managed to keep holding on to. The swords, Captain! All 3 crew members shouted at the same time. I'm okay, Jinwoo gasped, though his voice was weak and strained. Don't come any closer. This is working. The swords are getting weaker. Your heart stopped for 3 seconds, Park Mina yelled back. This is going to kill you. Maybe, Jinwoo replied, his voice getting a little stronger. But it's going to free her first. Velnara turned her head toward the 3 humans at the entrance to the chamber. Even through her own pain, she looked worried about Jinwoo. Your captain is the bravest being I have ever met, she called out to them. But I fear this process may destroy him. Can't you do something to help him? Kim Tae-hyun asked desperately. I am doing everything I can, Velnara replied. I am sharing my memories with him, giving him strength to continue. But these swords were designed to kill anyone who tries to remove them. The fact that he has survived this long is already a miracle. Park Mina's scanner started beeping rapidly. Both of their life signs just dropped dangerously low. If this continues much longer, they're both going to die. But even as she said it, they could see that the energy swords were definitely getting dimmer. Whatever Jinwoo was doing, it was working. The question was whether he would survive long enough to finish the job. Jinwoo could feel himself reaching his limit. His body was shaking uncontrollably, and every muscle felt like it was on fire. The quantum swords were definitely weaker than when he had first touched them, but they were still strong enough to keep Velnara trapped. It's not enough, he whispered through clenched teeth. I need to do more. Captain, your vital signs are critical, Park Mina shouted from across the chamber. You need to stop before your heart gives out completely. But Jinwoo knew that if he stopped now, he might never get another chance. The swords would learn from this attempt and become even stronger. This was probably the only opportunity anyone would ever have to free Velnara. The quantum locks are still active, Velnara said weakly. There are 3 final security layers that the swords use to protect themselves. To break them, you would need to... Need to what? Jinwoo asked. Velnara looked sad and frightened. You would need to let your mind become completely chaotic. Not just random thoughts, but total mental disorder. It would be like opening every door in your brain at the same time and letting all your thoughts crash into each other. What would that do to him? Kim Tae-hyun called out, his voice full of worry. For most species, it would cause permanent insanity, Velnara replied honestly. The mind is not meant to work that way, but humans. Your brains are different from ours. You might be able to survive it. Choi Hyunwoo stepped forward angrily. Might? You're asking him to risk his sanity on might. I'm not asking him to do anything, Velnara said firmly. I would rather stay trapped forever than watch him destroy his mind trying to save me. But Jinwoo was already making his decision. He thought about all the memories Velnara had shared with him, the world she had saved, the billions of lives she had protected, the 50 years of torture she had endured rather than commit genocide. If you can do it, then so can I, he said quietly. Then he did something that no sane being would ever attempt. He opened his mind completely. Instead of thinking about one thing at a time or even jumping randomly between thoughts, Jinwoo started thinking about everything all at once. He remembered the smell of his mother's cooking while simultaneously calculating stellar navigation routes. He thought about his childhood dog playing in the yard while also remembering advanced battle tactics he had learned at the academy. His mind became a storm of memories, knowledge, emotions, and random information all swirling together. He thought about the color blue and also about quantum physics. He remembered his first kiss and also recalled the technical specifications of his spaceship's engines. He felt the sadness of his grandfather's death at the same time as the joy of his nephew's birth. What's happening to his brain readings? Choi Hyunwoo asked in alarm. Park Mina stared at her scanner in disbelief. I've never seen anything like this. His neural activity is off the charts. It's like his brain is operating at maximum capacity in every area at the same time. The quantum swords began to flicker violently. They were designed to predict and counter logical thought patterns, but Jin Woo's mind had become something that no logic could understand. He was thinking about ocean waves, and also about mathematical equations. He remembered songs from his childhood, while also planning military strategies. He felt hungry and homesick and excited and terrified, all at the exact same moment. The ancient technology simply couldn't process this level of mental chaos. The swords had been created by a species that thought in orderly, predictable ways. They had never encountered a mind that could hold contradictory thoughts and emotions simultaneously, without breaking apart. Jin Woo's memories started mixing with each other in impossible ways. He remembered swimming in Earth's oceans, but in his memory, the water tasted like his mother's soup. He thought about flying through space, but the stars looked like the freckles on his sister's face. He recalled learning to drive a car, but in his mind, he was driving through the crystal cities of Velnara's homeworld. "The energy field is collapsing!" Kim Tae-hyun shouted excitedly. "The quantum locks are breaking down one by one!" But the process was taking a terrible toll on Jin Woo. His nose started bleeding, and his hands were trembling so badly that he could barely hold onto the swords. His vision became blurry, and he couldn't tell if he was standing up or falling down. He started thinking about everything he had ever learned, felt, or experienced, all at the same time. School lessons and first dates and space battles, and quiet moments with his family, and the taste of ice cream, and the feeling of rain and the sound of music, and the fear of death, and the joy of discovery. Everything crashed together in his mind like waves in a storm. "First quantum lock is down," Velnara announced, her voice filled with amazement and concern. "But Jinwoo, you must stop soon or this will kill you." But Jinwoo couldn't stop. His mind had become a whirlwind of pure chaos that was finally overpowering the ancient weapons. He thought about laughing and crying and running and sleeping and eating and fighting and loving and hating, all at the same time. His human brain, with all its beautiful, messy, illogical complexity, was doing something that the orderly minds of the galaxy's most advanced species never could have done. "Second lock is breaking," Velnara called out. The energy swords were now flickering so rapidly that they looked like dying light bulbs. The quantum field that had held Velnara prisoner for 50 years was finally being destroyed by the wonderful chaos of human thought. But Jinwoo's body was failing. His legs gave out completely, and he was now hanging onto the swords only by his hands. Blood was running from his nose and ears, and his heart was beating so irregularly that Park Mina was sure he was about to die. "Just one more lock," he whispered, to himself, though he wasn't sure if he could survive much longer. With his mind still spinning in complete chaos, Jinwoo felt something change. The third and final quantum lock was starting to crack. The energy swords, which had glowed with deadly power for 50 years, began to shake and flicker like candles in a strong wind. "The last lock is breaking," Velnara shouted, her voice filled with both hope and terror. "Jinwoo, hold on just a little longer." But Jinwoo was barely conscious. His chaotic thoughts were still swirling through his mind like a tornado, but his body was shutting down. Blood dripped from his nose onto the crystal platform, and his grip on the swords was getting weaker by the second. Then, suddenly, everything went quiet. The quantum field collapsed with a sound like breaking glass. The two energy swords that had tortured Velnara for half a century simply dissolved into harmless sparkles of light that floated away like fireflies. The blue glow that had filled the chamber faded to nothing, leaving only the soft light from their flashlights. Jinwoo's hands, which had been gripping the swords so tightly, suddenly had nothing to hold on to. He collapsed backward onto the stone floor, his mind finally returning to normal, as the chaotic thoughts settled down into regular human thinking. Velnara, free for the first time in 50 years, tried to sit up. But her body, which had been pinned in the same position for so long, couldn't remember how to move properly. She fell forward off the crystal platform, landing hard on the temple floor. "Captain!" Park Mina screamed, running toward them both despite the danger she might still face from residual energy, but there was no danger anymore. The quantum field was completely gone. Park Mina reached Jinwoo first and immediately started checking his vital signs with her medical scanner. "He's alive, but barely," she announced to the others. "His heart rate is all over the place, and he's lost a lot of blood. We need to get him back to the ship's medical bay right now." Kim Tae-hyun and Choi Hyun-woo rushed to help Velnara, who was lying on the floor trying to understand what had just happened to her. "I'm free," she whispered, staring at her hands as if she couldn't believe they could move. "After 50 years, I'm actually free." But freedom came with its own problems. Velnara's body had been held in the same position for so long that her muscles had forgotten how to work. When Kim Tae-hyun tried to help her stand up, her legs buckled immediately. "I can't feel my feet," she said, sounding confused and frightened. "And my back, the pain is different now, but it's still there." "That's normal," Park Mina explained while still working on Jinwoo. "Your body needs time to remember how to be normal again. But don't worry, we can help you with that." They had to carry both Jinwoo and Velnara back to their ship. It took several hours of careful medical work before either of them was stable enough to talk properly. Jinwoo woke up first, lying in the ship's medical bay with wires and tubes connected to various parts of his body. His head felt like someone had been playing drums inside it for a week. "Did it work?" he asked weakly when he saw Park Mina checking his monitors. "See for yourself," she said, pointing to another medical bed across the room. Velnara was sitting up, slowly moving her arms and legs as if she was relearning how to use them. When she saw that Jinwoo was awake, her face broke into the first genuine smile she had felt in half a century. "You did it," she said, her voice full of gratitude and amazement. "You actually did what 17 other species could not do. You freed me. How do you feel?" Jinwoo asked. Velnara thought about the question for a moment. "Strange. For 50 years, every moment of my existence was pain. Now that the pain is gone, I almost don't know what to do with myself. It's like learning to live all over again." Kim Tae-hyun, who had been quietly working at a computer terminal, suddenly looked up with excitement. "Velnara, I've been scanning the temple since we brought you both back. There are hidden chambers deep underground that we couldn't detect before. Now that the quantum field is gone, our sensors are picking up massive energy signatures down." "There?" Velnara's eyes widened. "The archives, I had almost forgotten about them." "What archives?" Choi Hyun-woo asked. "When my people punished me with the quantum swords, they sealed away all of our advanced technology," Velnara explained. "They thought that if I was ever freed, I would be too broken and insane to remember where the archives were hidden. But I remember everything." She looked directly at Jinwoo, her expression serious and grateful. "For 10,000 years, the Velthari protected younger species and helped them grow stronger. We developed technologies that could heal dying worlds, stop wars before they started, and help civilizations reach their full potential. All of that knowledge is sitting in those underground chambers, waiting for someone worthy to claim it." "And you think humans are worthy?" Park Mina asked. Velnara smiled. "A human just risked his sanity and his life to free a stranger from 50 years of torture. A human did what the galaxy's most advanced species could not do, simply because he believed it was the right thing to do. Yes, I think humans are very worthy indeed." Jinwoo tried to sit up, though his body still felt weak and shaky. "What kind of technology are we talking about?" "The kind that could change everything," Velnara replied. "Medical devices that could cure any disease, energy systems that could power entire worlds without harming the environment, peaceful solutions to conflicts that seem impossible to solve." She paused, looking out the window at the stars. "The Velthari are gone, but their mission doesn't have to die with them. Perhaps it's time for humans to become the new protectors of the galaxy." Over the next few days, as both Jinwoo and Velnara recovered from their ordeal, something remarkable began to happen. They started talking, really talking, about their different worlds and ways of thinking. "You know what's funny?" Velnara said, one morning as she practiced walking around the ship's medical bay. "For thousands of years, every species the Velthari met called humans chaotic and unpredictable, as if those were bad things." Jinwoo, who was finally strong enough to sit up without help, laughed weakly. "We get that a lot. Other aliens are always telling us we think too randomly, that we don't follow logical patterns. But that's exactly why you succeeded where everyone else failed," Velnara continued, flexing her fingers as feeling slowly returned to them. My people were brilliant, but we thought in straight lines. We approached every problem with careful planning and organized steps. The quantum swords were designed by minds like ours, so they could predict what we would do. Park Mina, who was checking Velnara's recovery progress, looked up from her medical scanner. So our messy human brains were actually an advantage. More than that, Velnara replied. Your chaos is a superpower that you don't even realize you have. When Jinwu was pulling out those swords, his mind was doing something that would be impossible for any other species. He was thinking about his childhood dog and quantum physics at the same time. He was feeling homesick and calculating battle strategies simultaneously. No Velthari could ever do that without going insane. Kim Tae-hyun looked up from his computer where he was studying the temple scans. Is that why humans always seem to find unusual solutions to problems? Because we think about everything all at once? Exactly, Velnara nodded. Other species see a problem and approach it logically, step by step. Humans see a problem and immediately think of 17 different solutions, including some that shouldn't work but somehow do. Choi Hyunwoo scratched his head. So all those times aliens called us primitive for not thinking logically, they were wrong, Velnara said firmly. Your way of thinking isn't primitive. It's advanced in a way that the rest of the galaxy doesn't understand yet. As the days passed, Velnara grew stronger and more confident, but instead of wanting to leave and find her own path, she made a surprising request. I want to stay with your crew, she announced one evening during dinner. I want to join your exploration missions. The four humans looked at each other in surprise. Are you sure? Jinwu asked. Don't you want to go somewhere peaceful and rest after everything you've been through? Velnara shook her head. For 50 years I was trapped and helpless. I couldn't protect anyone or help anyone. I don't want to rest. I want to do what my people have always done. I want to protect those who need protection. But there are only 4 of us, Park Mina pointed out. We're just an exploration team, not peacekeepers. That's where you're wrong, Velnara replied with a smile. You're already peacekeepers, you just don't know it yet. When you found me, you could have left me there and reported my location to Earth Command. Instead, you risked everything to save a stranger. That's exactly what the Velthari would have done. Over the following weeks, something incredible began to happen. Velnara started teaching Jinwu the combat techniques that her people had developed over thousands of years. But she quickly discovered that humans learn differently than Velthari. Stop trying to memorize the exact movements, she told Jinwu during one training session. Let your instincts guide you. Think about the technique and also think about something completely different at the same time. It sounded crazy, but it worked. When Jinwu stopped trying to be perfect and let his chaotic human mind work naturally, he learned the ancient fighting techniques faster than Velnara had thought possible. This is amazing, she said, watching him practice. You're adapting our combat style in ways that even we never thought of. You're making it better. Meanwhile, Kim Tae-hyun and Velnara worked together to plan expeditions to recover the sealed archives. The underground chambers contain thousands of years of Velthari knowledge, but accessing them would require solving puzzles and bypassing security systems that had been designed by the galaxy's most advanced civilization. My people made these archives incredibly difficult to access, Velnara explained. They wanted to make sure that only someone truly worthy could claim the knowledge inside. What kind of tests are we talking about? Choi Hyunwoo asked. Logic. Puzzles that would challenge the greatest minds in the galaxy. Security systems that adapt and become stronger with each failed attempt. Moral dilemmas that have no clear right answer. Park Mina grinned. Sounds like the perfect job for chaotic human thinking. As they prepared for their first expedition to the archives, Velnara made an observation that changed how all of them thought about humanity's future. The galaxy has been waiting for new peacekeepers, she said. After my people died out, there was no one left to help resolve conflicts between species or protect young civilizations from those who would harm them. But humans could fill that role. How? Jinwu asked. We're not the strongest species or the smartest or the most advanced. No, but you're the most adaptable, Velnara replied. You find solutions that no one else can find. You think outside the patterns that trap other species. And most importantly, you care about doing the right thing even when it's dangerous or difficult. She looked around at the 4 humans who had become her new family. With Velthari knowledge and human creativity working together, we could help bring peace to conflicts that have lasted for centuries. We could protect species that have no one else to turn to. We could explore dangerous regions of space that other beings are too afraid to enter. A new generation of peacekeepers, Jinwu said thoughtfully. Exactly. The Velthari protected the galaxy for 10,000 years. Now it's humanity's turn.